Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live. Now, according to a recent article, the denigration of African languages and culture is the ugly stamp left behind by colonialism. This is according to Dr. David Maahlamela, who is the chairperson of the board of the Pan-South African Language Board, who penned this piece in the City Press newspaper. Now, language forms an integral part of one's heritage, and we've brought in the good doctor to help us connect the two ahead of Heritage Day. Dr. Maahlamela, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and have a chat.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what strides would you say have been made in order to close this language gap that we saw happen and the African languages denigrating as a result of colonialism? And the strides that have been made, would you say those have been enough?
The challenge we have is that we got to a point where we became foreign to ourselves. Even when efforts are there to take us back to our languages, the fact is we sometimes know other languages better than ours. So it becomes a point of disadvantage. But I must say a lot has been done, but the damage is so vast such that it will definitely take a long time. But definitely this year has been a great year because this is the year that UNESCO declared as International Year of the Indigenous Languages. This is the year that SADC has adopted Kiswahili as the fourth working language, which is the first indigenous language to be acknowledged. But also within structures such as the Pan-South, this is the year that the new board has been appointed. And you remember that this institution has run for 2 years without a board, which perhaps suggests that there is no sense of agency as others claim. But in terms of activities, this is the year that even the president mentioned that we will have sign language as an official language. And I'm happy because Dr. Matole Mutsecha, the chairperson of the review committee, has confirmed publicly that before the end of this year, we will have South African Sign Language as one of the 11, it will be the 12th language. So this, for us, it's a year of hope, and we believe we will take it from here and make sure that we push it because, yeah, this is the heart of everything.
But on a sort of practical note, what are some of the biggest challenges that are facing indigenous languages in this country specifically? And what would you say are some of the practical solutions that we really need to start looking at? A conversation has always been had about a first language that is learned at school and second language that is learned at school, that it's often not an indigenous person's first or second language, but rather their third language for that matter. What are some of the practical things that we can really start to change in order to close the gap that currently exists?
The heart of everything is how we position our languages. You will agree with me that you will never develop any language if you are not intertwining that process with the economic will of the country. You're not intertwining it with education, with the social outlook.
And is that willingness there at the moment?
Luckily, there is a strong drive. You'll remember that even within decolonization, language has been the center aspect that was admitted that without language, decolonization will never be fulfilled. So there are, of course, many people who are trying their bit. You have seen in Parliament, people are starting to make noise about a lack of interpreters. So there is hope, but it will definitely take double efforts to make sure that we have the result. From our side, we have started engaging with rights stakeholders to make sure that we have the integral approach. We don't just deal with one element and leave the other. In education, for instance, provinces have control over how they deal with language. You can see also the contradiction that is there between constitution and the language policy. So we are already engaging with those stakeholders to ensure that we do something. This year, PenSALP has launched the report from the commission where 48 department, national department, were in a commission looking at how they approach the use of indigenous languages. And it exposed many departments because they are definitely not doing what they are supposed to do, but we are now helping some of this department to achieve that.
And so how do we not make sure that, or how do we make sure that other languages are not left behind as, we try and close this gap and make sure that we're all sort of on the same page and that the system in its entirety works together to preserve our indigenous languages? I mean, recently you would have probably seen in Parliament, some members of Parliament saying they refuse to sing the Afrikaans version or the Afrikaans part of the STEM, but in lifting up, one sort of language or indigenous languages, others shouldn't be left behind because it's also a part of, our South African Afrikaans people's heritage. So how do we sort of find the balance?
It is said that language has been politicized in this country. The new board of PenSALP has been clear that in the past, what we have done, but in a wrong way, is that we have a glass of water, we have 20 seats. Each day we just pour just a drop and there will never be any effect. So we agreed that what we need is a 9-year plan where we look at the hierarchy. Indigenous languages on themselves, they have a hierarchy. Even the so-called official are still not fully developed. So you will look at languages such as Iswati, Chivenda or Xitsonga, which are in the lower level of this hierarchy, and dedicate the whole year in developing that language. What it will do is it will take the one that is in the ground and take it to the upper level where it can be on the same level with your likes of isiXhosa and isiZulu.
Yes.
And the next year we do the same to another, rather than just splitting around, because unfortunately the previous method has not worked and we need to change that.
All right, Dr. David, thank you so much for those practical solutions and your great insights. Truly appreciate your work and all the best. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure and thanks for having us.
That's David Maahlamela, who is the chairperson of the board of the South African Language Board, which has established to promote and create conditions for the development and use of official languages. And I mean, really, it's giving us practical things that we can all think about and really just try and change in our daily lives to integrate more and more of our indigenous languages so that none of our groups are left behind. We're going to take a look very quickly at what's happening on our social media.